All right, everyone. So, as at the point of recording this video, the offer for TransJamaica closes in 4 days, right? And I've been processing this a lot because, of course, I've been talking to a lot of persons about it. I have clients I've been working with about it, even persons from overseas, which is kind of awesome for me. I had a lot of one-on-one sessions recently just to discuss just coaching persons to help them figure out how to manage just some of the decisions that they would need to make. And so, of course, we would have covered this also in our coaching community, our challenge community rather, last month or this month. I don't remember right now. I think it came out late last month. So last month coming into this month. And so just balancing that stuff, right? And so it's a couple of days before I also needed to take care of some things. And there's a lot of videos that I need to do that I haven't yet begun to do. And it's like there's a lot to talk about now. So I may very well, depending on how my schedule goes, go live a lot more often. I'll just say that for now. So let's get the obvious stuff out the way, because I do have to talk about two other dividend stocks. I don't know if I'll do it in the same video as yet. It depends on how long I'm talking about TransJamaica for. But the very first thing I'll say, so this was shared in my community group earlier. And if you're not part of our community group, you're getting a preview of it here. So I shared that this was announced that the offer was pretty much upsized, which is what you want, right? So because based on the prospectus, they had the option to upsize, which for the purposes of what we're talking about right now means there's enough interest where it needs to be upsized. So from an allocation perspective, that's good. Now, it may mean that depending on how much you applied for, you may not get your shares, but that's another conversation for another day. But the fact that it's being upsized means at least the demand is increasing. Or yeah, right? So that's what it at least signals. Let's see what the final thing is. But let's see, because it is a large chunk of shares, right? So there's that, but I want to talk about specifically about the dividends, right? Because as I'm working with clients, we're talking a lot about like portfolio allocation. We're talking about strategy for the year. So I spoke to one client today where we're talking about what's happening in the overseas market, what's happening in the local market, what is coming up for the local market, and just talking about how we can balance all of those things, right? So that's some of what is happening there. I do have some news on that side that I'll share later on, but those of you in the challenge community, you should already know. And it is going to be, I think, a very interesting year where dividends are going to still be a factor in terms of how you invest, right? And I'm also seeing, for example, where there are persons who are not sure how to maybe have TransJamaica fit in their overall portfolio, because so I do believe, so I talk a lot about TransJamaica, talk a lot about certain type of companies here, but I hope you understand that this is just one stock in what should be your overall portfolio. Do I think it's enough for you to build wealth with one stock? No. That's why I recommend 4 to 6. And that's why it's something that I've been saying to persons more and more, that don't obsess about TransJamaica, because that has shown you more or less what it's capable of. It's shown you both the ability to get capital gains and dividends. I think everybody kind of understands that, but persons get locked in or focused in on TransJamaica only when they may miss the fact that there are other stocks that provide great opportunities as well. But of course, I'll talk about that at another time. But here's a preview of our community if you've never been in it. This community is free to join. I'll share just the general meetup. I don't want you to see the challenge stuff yet. Challenge stuff is below this, but this is our general community. We have a place where you introduce yourselves. We talk about the stock market, of course, talk about the US market, talk about any market offers that are coming out. We have our leaderboard where you get prizes for being on top of the leaderboard after certain milestones. We have our meetups where we've met pretty much every month since we've formed this community. So the meetings are recorded for you to be. You do have specific challenges that you can take part in as well. And so just know that there's a lot of value in joining our free community if you're not already a member. So I'll leave that as it is for now. All right. So TransJamaica closed at 385 today. One more day of trading before the offer closes, but also bear in mind that dividend consideration is going to be announced actually Monday. So it says they're going to meet on Monday. Last time they met, they shared the update same day. So I am expecting the update to come in either late Monday evening or early Tuesday morning. All right. So in terms of the point of the video, in terms of me saying I think their dividend yield is about to increase, I am just going to go to the financials and show you why I think that. All right. So two reasons why. Let me see some of the comments before I get into it. Limitless says, what if it doesn't? Then I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I don't know what you're saying, Artwords. Humble Boss says, nice. Dividends. Diplomat says, TJH to the moon. I don't know if it's TJH to the moon. We'll see. Ingrid, good evening to you as well. My thoughts on Fontana is that, I don't know. No thoughts right now. How much am I expecting the dividends to be this year? I do think it's going to be more than last year. I'll share that, what I think, in just a few about that. Okay. I'm looking at their last report here. Yes, so as Sean, what's going on here? Oh, I didn't even realize that my name is saying Renee McDonald. Because we did the earnings call with RPL yesterday, and I did not update the name. So everybody probably joined this new thinking that my name is Renee. Let me change that. There we go. And Tavares is saying that the upsize can be smoke. I don't understand what you mean by that. Sean is asking if it's closed. No. Not closed yet, and I don't think it's gonna close before it has to be closed. Upsize notice might even pull more people in. Well, I mean, if it's not upsized, they pull more people in, and it does become upsized, I guess it's still one and the same, right? Not so much. Am I worried about them being able to pay a big dividend this year if they also have to buy phase 1C this year? No, I'm not. And again, we're going to look at their reports, right? Okay, so let's get this part out the way. So I'm looking at, this is their unaudited results for Q4. So we're focused mainly on a couple of things here, right? We're focusing on cash, because we're talking about dividends here, so we need to see cash. And finance cost is going to be important. So we know last year they had their best year ever, right? Well, I'm assuming 82 million US is their best year ever. Finance costs actually relatively the same as the year before, went down slightly. taxation is that, and net profit is this, right, for the entire year. And then now what I did is I pretty much did some math here, and I looked at how much they paid in dividends previously, right? So last year they paid an 18-cent dividend, and they have 12.5 billion shares, if I'm not mistaken, right? 12.5 billion shares here. So they paid an 18-cent dividend last year. Is that right? Yep. They paid 18 cents. Let me round it up to 19. So they paid 2.3 billion in dividends last year, right? So note this number, 2.3 billion in dividends last year. Now, if you look at the 31 million US that they made last year alone, we're not talking about their reserves, right? Which we can look at their reserves here. Where's retained earnings? Retained earnings is actually 38 million US, right? 38 million in retained earnings. You're about to add another 31 to that. Well, no, I had to look at the cash flow, but yeah. Cash and bank balances is 14. So I need to check two things here, right? Because I'm realizing that I may be going about this the wrong way. But I'm looking at a couple of things here. I'm looking at one, the prospectus that says TJH prospectus. Is this the original one? Hope this is the original one. So I'm just looking at a few pieces of information here and coming up with what I think is a reasonable assessment. I'd asked David Rose the cause for phase 1C, and I think he mentioned it on Taking Stock. So let me know if you're hearing me okay, because my internet's going in and out here. May not be the best night for a stream. I'm frozen. So better. Let me know if that's better or worse. Still frozen? It's better now? Oh boy. It's a good thing that I have 2 internet connections. so Digicel just failed me. So I switched over to Starlink. So let's see if this holds a lot better. But you hearing me better now? Okay, good to go. All right, cool. So what I was saying is that I'm putting together pieces of information here, right? So I'm looking at a couple of things. I'm looking at the fact that one very key thing that they mentioned, that Ivan mentioned on Taking Stock, he mentioned that they're performing ahead of projections. That was notable for me because I also note what they would have mentioned in terms of their projections for their dividends here, right? So I'm trying to remember the page. Did I pass the page? So I'm doing the math here based on, of course, if they would have projected, being able to do an average yield of 24.5% to 35% after 2025, right? Because they said 2020 to 2025, average of 5 to 8, right? Of course, it says the projections do not include any potential upside from Phase 1C or renewal of concession agreement. That's also noteworthy here, right? And so it says based on their projected operating profits, distributable reserves, and cash flows, the company is projecting dividend yields based on the offer price ranging from these, right? So they've already shown the ability to beat this one based on offer price because they're at 12%, right? And so if you do the math here, so I'm looking at just the fact that they paid 2.3 billion in dividends, right? And at 2.3 billion puts them at that 12% based on IPO price. If we were to double that 12%, you'd get closer to the 24%, right? Now, I don't think they're going to double it, but at the very least, they can do 50% of that, right? That 50% of it would mean a 27-cent dividend per year. That 27-cent dividend means they could do about a 13 or 14-cent dividend now in March or April, and then do another 13-cent dividend in October. So that is my estimation. I don't think we have an issue with Phase C, because even if they're gonna pay for Phase C, I don't think they need to, for example, pay all the money up front. I think they can pay for it in phases, right? So even if it's, I don't know what the cost will be. I think David Rose was saying it to me, but I don't remember. Whatever the cost is, they can probably split that cost over, because right, they made 31 million US in a year, right? So if they're projecting 9 mil, then they can easily pay for that because they have 14 million reserves. So even if it's 9 mil for it, they can pay for that over. If they made 31 million US a year, that's an average of about 8 mil per quarter. One quarter alone pays for that, right? So hopefully that answers Limitless question in part. The Phase 1C was 20 mil, so 920, who knows, right? So if it's 20 on the upper end, then they can pay for it, I think, they can pay for it, for example, in part with the revenues they're going to get from it. I don't know what the payment terms are like, right? But let work with me for a second here, right? So if they were to pay that 27-cent dividend, right? How did I do it? 27 cents, right? That 27 cent would be $3.3 billion, right? The 31 million that they made last year in terms of US is 4.8 billion. So they've made enough last year to give that increased dividend, right? That's my math. Now, I don't know, this does not include 1C's payment. This does not include anything they have in reserves, because we don't know how they're planning to pay for 1C as yet. But to me, they can pay for it over time, even if they pay for it in parts or something, right? They've been operating it at their own expense, right? Because even though there is no fees being collected, I believe they still have to either maintain the roads or be doing something, so it is incurring some cost. So maybe there's some allowance as to how they can pay for it, in my opinion. But if you notice here, they can increase that dividend yield out of what they made last year alone, right? Now, I don't know how much cash they plan to have in reserves or anything like that. But so one of the things that Will said, that's what I'm thinking as well, Harold. That makes sense to me, right? Because it doesn't necessarily make sense for them to have to take up a lot of cash and just pay for it. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to pay for it in stages, out of revenues or out of some sort of phased approach. I don't see why they can't do that. So Limitless was asking what I think the revenues will be. Ivan mentioned that the traffic is estimated to be about 11,000 vehicles. I think you just have to look at how much vehicles they do now and just see what that will look like. But it depends on how much they're gonna charge for it, right? So I don't know if they include the vehicle info in terms of quarterly numbers. I don't remember. Revenue by toll plaza. I think, is this revenue or this is the number of vehicles? Or comprehensive income. Or do they have that in the annual report? I know they have the traffic numbers somewhere. I don't know where they have it. Okay, I think they might have it in their annual reports. I'd have to check that. But it really depends on how much they're gonna be paying for it. Yeah. Rob. It depends, right? So I think that it depends on how much they're charging, but I would imagine it would pay for itself in a reasonably short time. That's my estimation. Yes, for sure, Sean. Debt is going down as well. I should really be doing a deep dive of this report. I didn't plan for this, and I'm halfway through the live already. 2024, 2023. So borrowings went up slightly here. So it was 10 million the year before. Now it's almost 12. So that went up. Trade on our payables went up as well. But the non-current borrowings went down. So from 191 to 182. And this is in note 10. So let's see that one. So this is their debt. 2023. So the debt is the senior secured notes have gone down. The accrued interest has gone down. Principal repayments, borrowing costs classified as current, non-current. Okay, I see what's happening. So the current one has gone up, but the overall debt is going down, right? So 194 million is still owed. And so so if they maintain the dividend yield, they can actually pay down the debt a lot faster if they want. Because I mean, it's still a healthy dividend, even if they don't rush that payment. So, Dennis, find that Observer article for me, please. That would be much appreciated. So yeah, so I was saying that this is what they made last year, and so if they choose to double the dividend yield, they could, but then now I'm considering the debt. They may not be in a rush to go up too much. So even if they go to try to do, as I said, half, we meet everybody halfway in terms of that projected payout, because it says 2020 to 2025, so they don't have to do it necessarily this year. They can do it next year, and still be in line with what their prospectus would have said, right? So there is that as well. Trying to find it. I need to memorize these pages. Yeah. So this is the part I was saying, because if you calculate, not looking at the year now, if you calculate that range, right? Let's do a 30%. So the 18 cents is 12 cents. So the upper end here of 36% would be 3 times the current dividend. That's actually 54 cents, right? I would imagine that they're going to be having the debt at a certain point before they get to that point. But 36, if they do 36%, based on current prices, let me do the offer price here. That'd be a 15% yield based on current prices. I don't see them doing this year, of course, but that may be something that are closer to maybe 2 to 3 years down the line, I think, anyway. So yeah, I'm hoping that you're with me in that, because I kind of went all over the place there. And I do think that a couple of things to pay attention for. Now, I am thinking that depending on how it closes, I'm also looking at how it may trade. Now, I'm not looking that it may do much in terms of growth in the short term for price, unless the dividend is amazing, right? If the dividend is amazing, then you will see a movement in price, especially after Monday. If the dividend is the average dividend or the same dividend that they paid last year, then the price may not move much. If they announce, let's say, a 15, 16 cent dividend on Tuesday, that I think will bode well for the stock price in the short term. And yeah, so I'm waiting to see that. This is why I made a prediction that the price is going to 618, because if the market maintains a dividend yield of 4%, 25. Okay, I see what you're saying, but I mean, I don't subscribe to price predictions, right? That's not me. I'm not. I don't subscribe to that. So okay. They usually pay out 65% year net profits. Thank you for this, Sean. Okay, so with this information, then if you look at the 31 million US times 60%, that's 18 million multiplied by that's 2.8 billion. So they would only slightly increase over the dividend that they're paying last year, because they paid 2.3. So they could do a 23 cent, which would be 11 or 12. So if they do 12 cent each, then they would still be able to maintain that same payout ratio, Sean. So you could still see an increase based on that. But the fact that they did their 31 million bodes well for them, right? Not being allowed to post link in the chat. So send me over the community, or send me on Telegram, whichever one works. Okay, send it to me, Harold. Limitless, what do me being a big Excel guy have to do with anything here? I'm doing an impromptu video that, I didn't. I try not to use Excel because it may confuse persons who are not so math inclined, right? So I'll say that. All right, page 68 in the prospectus, Marvel. Page 68. Okay, all right, cool. Let me do that. So hello, when you guys help me out like this, you're being awesome. 68. Okay. Yes, I do remember seeing this. I'd gone through it. Projected payout ratio 2025, 80% though, right? 80% is what they have there. And I do see this being flat here, which is, okay. If this is saying 85%, then 85% of what they did last year. 80%, well, it's 85%. That'd be 26, and we multiply that here. Then we could definitely see that dividend increase significantly then. All right, that's a 30, that's 16 cents um for two payments, which would be massive. That would that I'd be a happy camper with that for sure. I'd be a happy camper with that for sure. And the projected dividend yield here, so they're projecting about 20% here. Best case, worst case. Okay, okay, all right. Um, what happened to you, Sean? Well, you never saw that, did you? Okay, okay. I don't remember looking at this graph. I just didn't remember that it was there. Average 40% earnings, reducing the rates. Okay. And then I have the dividend one already. And so here's the thing: if you are looking at a stock that can give you an average dividend of, so we're at year 5 out of these 16 years. If you literally looked at it as the next 10 years, an average of this based on IPO pricing, which would still be, let's say, at 78% yield on current prices for the next 10 years. I mean, that's a simple decision, in my opinion, there. Um, so yeah, let me see if I'm getting any questions from. Okay, I see your link, Harold. Thank you. Okay, this is in 2024. All right. As approved, an offer of 20 million. Oh, okay, thank you. So that addresses the cost for phase 1C. 20 million US plus potential upside formula amounts. Thank you for that. This is in keeping with rights of first refusal, phase 1C. Da, da, da. Management anticipates that will, so this answers your question, Limitless, as how it will increase potential revenues by 9 million. So to spend 20 for increases of 9 million in revenue per year, I need to check their net profit margin. But 9 million in revenues added to current revenues now would be, so they did 82 million last year, so they did 91, and this looks like net profit is that looks like about a 40% net margin. 40%. Somebody can verify that for me. But about 40%. So when they do 1891, 40% of that is about 36. So they're 36, and then 85% of that again just looks promising in terms of the dividend yield, right? So that should answer your question there, Limitless Podcast. Thank you for this. And see, this was published from last year, right? So I'll definitely be posting this in the community group. Thank you very much. Let me just, thanks to Harold for sharing this. All right, JSC Stock Market Group. All right. Okay, so let me just take some questions here. That's it, right? I've seen all I need to see here, right? They're getting there, but here's the thing. I don't matter. I don't care if it's quarterly. I don't care if it's once per year. I'll tell you why. If they pay once per year and that gives me an opportunity to buy more shares at a lower price, I'm good with that. All right. So thank you for us confirming this, and this is why we operate as a community. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. And I do see that debt going down, because even if they can still meet their dividend yield and bring down that debt, because once that debt goes even further down, it can you imagine when they clear that debt completely, paying out 80-90% of profits? Like, you could very well be getting a 10-15% dividend yield in a couple of years, right? What if all the shares that the government has an offer for sale do not sell? What are the eventualities? Great question. So it bodes well that we're seeing that there'll be a potential upsizing. So that's the first thing here, Romain. So the upsize means that there is a better chance of all of them selling. But let's see where it ends. I know persons are asking me daily how to apply. I've referred a lot of people to a lot of brokers, and a lot of persons are reaching out to me to just understand what to do and all of that stuff. So we'll see. I suspect once he will be paid installments, but that would be sent exactly, right? So they're not gonna have a big outflow of 20 million US. That does not make sense to me. I would say it would pay for itself. Well, it will have a payback period. So if they're keeping 40% of the 9 million, that's 900K, 3.6 million. 3.6 million has a payback period of 6 years, right? That's just some rough math there. Marva, yes, definitely. We covered these already. Why am I bringing up past comments? Was waiting to pounce on Tropical Batteries APO, but pivoted to TransJamaica instead. That's apples and oranges, though, Evroy. Apples and oranges. Was JIO paid for in a single payment or multiple payments? Why do I feel like Limitless knows the answers to these questions that he's asking? Limitless, if you know the answer, just share the answer, right? I don't. Can you also check how much your potential saving each year by not paying? Okay, yeah, I see your comment, Harold. I don't know if I'm going to touch that now. So Harold made a good point to look at how much you're potentially saving each year, but not by not paying JIO. I'm not going to do that right now. I think I want to do a proper review. Like, I haven't done that in a while. All right, Sean is saying, I feel like the SSL thing and the general negative sentiment around the market didn't happen. We might have seen a bull rush. So what do you think that we saw last year when it went to $5? That wasn't a bull rush, sir? I think it was. So, because if it had held at the $5, that would have been what, 300%? In 4 years, 5 years. That sounds like a bull run to me. Because if it wasn't for that pullback near the end of the year, it would have been the best performing stock for 2024. So that's what I would say here. I'm just looking to see if I missed any articles. Okay, so I do want to talk about another stock here. I think I have 20 minutes to talk about another stock. Are there any TransJamaica questions, guys? Before I move on, let me know. And I do want to talk to you about our I'm going to take a brief break here to talk about our upcoming conference, right? So our Very Well conference is a month away, less than a month. And so right now the pitch competition is open. If you're a business owner, if you're thinking of starting a business, you want to submit to our pitch competition, the prizes will be amazing. The value adds will be amazing. We will have as well, I think we have 12, maybe 13 speakers, if I'm not mistaken. It's 2 days. So we're going to have our day one be one presentation or pitch competition or networking event. And the testimonies coming out of last event, which was 2023, is that persons were able to build partnerships, find persons to help in terms of just working with in terms of their business. Some persons have landed clients. So it's really a great opportunity to expand your business. It's also great for you as an investor, right? So think of it as you having the opportunity as an investor, even if you don't have a business, to learn about businesses, to learn about what you should look for if you should start a business. And it will make you, the time I've spent learning about business and running a business has helped me to make better investment decisions. So it's overall been better for me as an entrepreneur, in terms of how I prepare myself as an investor, right? So as a member of our LGI community, you get 20% off tickets with LGI 20. And if you're a challenge community member, you get a further discount, all right? So the schedule, I believe, should be up. So day one, as I said, we have one presentation or pitch competition and a mingle. Day two, we have different sessions to help you with different phases of running a business, right? So these are some really impactful sessions. And what we wanted to do is have sessions that will help you go to the next level, right? It's not about, we're not there to inspire you, right? So inspiration is going to be a byproduct, but it's not like those conferences where you just go and it's a lot of like well wishes and motivational stuff. This is the same thing that we do here in terms of value added content to help you actually grow as an investor. This will be able to help you to grow as an investor and entrepreneur. All right, so just wanted to take a brief intermission for that. And just an observer link stated their expected revenue. Send me on Telegram or send me on Telegram. That's easiest. Community group is fine too. For clarity, can you purchase on the 18th or will it be closed that day? My expectation, it will be closed at the end of the day on the 18th. That's my expectation, because they'll want to ensure that they get in as many applications as they can. Dookie, will now be the best time to invest in TransJamaica as a beginner who is going for the long term? I think you kind of answered the question in you asking. If you're investing something for the long term, then I don't see why you wouldn't just start as early as you can. KK is going to invest some of their honey. You mean invest in the conference or invest in TransJamaica? That one is not clear to me. Sean is... What's this he's sending me, Sean? I hope Sean is not sending me any Dolphin Cove news, All right. I know how you are, Sean. All right, come next month. I'm doing some speed reading here. Boost revenues by 9. Recognize. What am I looking for in this article? I'm just doing some speed reading here to see what was I to read this for, Sean? Let me know what I'm supposed to be looking at this for. Oh yeah, man, we confirmed that already. We confirmed that. The date on this article is July 17, 2024. King Kong, what if you overseas in terms of what? TransJamaica, the application. Once you have a brokerage account, I believe NCB allows you to sign up online. So you can sign up online and do that. Okay, that's a great question. I'll talk about that in a second. I believe, yeah. So here's the thing I will say. I appreciate the fact that TransJamaica is so transparent about their projections. You notice you don't really see that a lot in terms of companies, which annoys me. I think every company should do a projection. So I know, because there's no management team that doesn't do a projection at the start of the year for their business. Once you have a board, once you have a decent management team, you have to do projections every year. But there's a practice where companies in Jamaica don't necessarily share their projections with their shareholders. They say that they use words like robust, or they use words like um, strategic, and just everything without saying we're going for 100 million this year, we're going for 150 million this year, and so that you can actually be held accountable to that. So that would help doing projections, and that would just help to give investors an understanding of how aggressive you're going to be. So I don't know how to pronounce your name, Miss Kerr. I'm sorry, but don't join Telegram. We're actually scaling down our Telegram group, and it's going to be closed later on this year. What you can do instead is join our new community group. I'll share that link below right here. So we're no longer accepting members to Telegram. So you can join our community group. The link should be in the description as well. Yeah. So yeah, let me answer this one. So what do you think about Ivan Anderson said that he doesn't think the price is favorable now for a share buyback or something to that effect? I believe what he said was that was a consideration before. They wouldn't consider doing that now. And I agree. And I'll tell you why. Because of what they saw last year in terms of that movement to 498, that is signaling strong demand for the company. It wouldn't make sense to buy back shares at that point. Now, if the shares are languishing, which I don't really suspect them to at this stage, if they're languishing, maybe, but there's no need to buy back shares right now because they have two important things to do: meet that dividend target that they've set and pay down their debt. Because remember, if you're using capital to buy back shares, it's 12.5 billion shares. It's a lot to buy back for them to do anything meaningful, right? If they were to pick up money and buy back, let's say 100 million shares, that wouldn't really affect your ownership much. I don't think that'd be a good idea. A share buyback may trigger positive sentiment by some investors, but to me, things need to be practical. I don't think a share buyback is practical for them because they have better things to do with their cash, like pay their shareholders a dividend. That's just my opinion anyway. So I'm checking Telegram for any questions. I think that's it. We're not streaming to Instagram because I'm actually on a social media break. So if you've been sending questions to Instagram, to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to Twitter, I am not on that platform for all of Lent. I'm only on YouTube simply because we have to maintain this channel. But I'm on a social media fast for 40 days. And when that is done, maybe I'll extend that. So I think the buyback resolution was when the shares were exactly. So it makes sense, right? If it's below $2, why not buy them back? I think the time I first heard that at the AGM, the price was like 250, 260. It made more sense then. I wouldn't take up cash to buy back shares at $3 or $4. That makes no sense, in my opinion, anyway. All right, let me see if anybody messages me on. So Dennis, I see your article. Okay. David Rose wrote this article. Okay. So motorists continue to benefit. We said 20 million there again. That was confirmed. I should be reading out loud, but sorry. All right, so I'm just seeing for new information here. And by the way, it was even impacted with Beryl last year. That's interesting to see that. So with the call option to acquire the remaining 49% of JIO expiring, we have the option to acquire. Okay. So, oh, this is a pretty good article. So I'll share this as well. So, okay. Okay. All right. So I do want to talk about two other stocks, but I don't know if I have time. You guys have been talking about TransJamaica the whole time. I blame Sean, Sean's fault. If the upsize is also oversubscribed, what do you think happens then, especially for those who bought in bulk? I mean, it depends, right? When I applied for the IPO, I applied for 500,000 shares and I got all of it. So it really depends on the amount that you applied for. And I mean, I applied for a lot more this time around, but I don't know. I'm not worried about it. Wait and see, right? At those kind of questions, it's just a way to see, right? I'm in the honey business, so I'll definitely invest in TransJamaica. Okay. Well, Cygnus yield over 6% in 2024. If so, why isn't anyone talking about Cygnus? Cygnus, you're talking about. Oh, and Rasheen asking as well, Cygnus JMD. There's another dividend company I want to talk about. Loving, you have the time, but I promised Rennie I'm going to spend some time with her. So let me go to the company that I'll close this session with, right? All right. So the company that I'm looking at, right? So I'm looking at two companies for potential dividends. I'm going to talk about one, but I was doing some math and I'm looking at the price of a certain company that, let me actually do the math quickly before I say anything to see if I'm right, because I may be wrong actually. Okay, here we go. So Levine said, in case you don't have all right, Alien 847, where do you find accurate dividend yield for previous and current years? Because Mayberry Trade Sheet, Simply Wall Street, and My Money JA all have different yields on websites for 2024, 2023. So yeah, it will vary sometimes. It shouldn't, because the dividend yield is pretty much something that should be verifiable. But I have noticed that discrepancy as well. So that's why what I do, I go off the information on the company's on the instrument summary page using the JSE website, and I just calculate it myself using the current price. So if you know how to calculate the yield, you look at the dividend for the previous year using the current price is what I calculate the yield as. That's how I do it. Now that there's no guarantee that the company will pay the very same dividend last year, this year, but at least that gives me a starting point to work with. But that's also why for dividend stocks, I look for companies that can either increase their yield or at least be able to maintain, because I have to have strong cash flows. What's the dividend yield for Lasem, Marvo? Let me know. So the first company that I want to mention here, and I know a certain person will be very happy to see this, right? So this is the company, and I'm sure you can tell which company it is from the chart. Who can guess this company? Let me see if you all pay attention here. Lovine, Renee is messaging me right now asking me if I'm finished. So there's no extra time here. Okay. Um, AMG, interesting, right? Interesting, interesting, right? So, um, of course it does, Limitless. Of course it does. It says so right here. Okay. Um, so yes, so we're talking about NCB in the challenge community, and I'm there and I'm going through and I'm working it out, and I'm like, with the price continuing to fall, the dividend yield is actually now becoming interesting for me, right? Because right now, at current price, it's at 4.4%. My threshold for dividend is actually 5%. So it's very close. So if this goes down to $40, then $40 would actually give a dividend yield of 5%. So for me, now I'm not an NCB shareholder, but if NCB continues to increase their performance and profitability, and the price continues to go in the opposite direction, it may very well enter on my dividend radar, because I've actually always thought that they should pay a special dividend as well. And I saw the shareholders um, like pretty much asking this at the last investor briefing, I think it was, and have a feeling that they're still under that pressure for paying a dividend. So we'll see. But it is interesting, right? I have every other dividend stock in my portfolio is paying me a bigger yield than NCB, so I wouldn't look at them right now. But who knows, if the price changes, then this is very interesting to see though, right? Because that's crazy to me, right? A year ago, it's as high as 50. Okay, so it hasn't dropped that much, but very interesting to see here, right? There's another company that's on my radar, but I'm not touching that today, right? Yeah, current share price for yield is what I think makes sense as well. Um, just logical. $35 would be interesting, but here's the thing. I do think that there are certain things that may put the price there, but we will see. We will see. Too much negative sentiment around the stock, even though in reality the company is performing. It beats SGJ in the last quarter. Okay, NCB $40 or less is very interesting opportunity. So here's the thing: it needs to go to $40 to enter my watch list. The watch list doesn't mean I buy; it just means that it's on my radar now. And if so let's put it this way: if Dolphin Cove comes out and says no dividend, and then I need to find some dividends, then maybe I'll find it there. Because my average price for Dolphin Cove has gone down. So with everything that has happened with Dolphin Cove, my average price is now much lower than it was before. And so but they have not, and I'll say this, they have not announced a dividend in 9 months. So I'm watching that very, very intensely here, right? So their audit is delayed, so that should be, let me see when they said they're gonna pay that. This pay that statement will be so it may actually be submitted tonight, if not already. Well, no, I don't see it here. So that should be interesting to see, and then we'll see, right? But certainly, I'm happy with the capital gains that I've gotten here. Taverny. Is that how you pronounce your name, ma'am? Please tell me. Also, somebody brought something up to me. A challenge community member sent me mail pack, and I was like, I was a mail pack shareholder last year, and I didn't. I had some questions about the outlook for them that I was waiting to see some things fall into place, but it was holding at 260, 270 for a while, right? So it was holding pretty much there for a while, but it's now starting to go down. Now, I don't know. I haven't done any analysis on this price, but year to date, it's down 15%. And they used to be a good dividend paying stock, but I don't know if I'd consider them good anymore. So 23, they paid 11 cents. 24, they only paid 3 cents, right? So that's, now they did the acquisition for MyCart Express last year, right? So that may have impacted their paying dividends. And I think their Q1 was good, right? So it's interesting for me to see, but, and I also saw, I don't know if you saw the rocket ship acquisition, and I was saying to somebody, I would not be surprised, giving it a couple of years, we see Mailpack acquire rocket ship, only because Mailpack has shown their ability to do those type of acquisitions, right? Whenever somebody becomes a large competitor for Mailpack, they become a part of Mailpack. So that's how I view it. Nothing is a given, I'm sure. Scotiabank was on my radar, Mrs. Reynolds, but they're no longer. All right. Sentiment means nothing with good dividends. Dolphin Cove taught you that. I don't know what that statement means. It's a, well, so I'll give it that, right? It's definitely the best performing finance stock. I agree with that. Currently, I do agree with that. We're both watching Mailpack. You talking, or Dolphin Cove? I know you're watching Dolphin Cove, Sean. You're its greatest critic, right? So I wouldn't be surprised to see at the AGM. Mailpack has been performing since acquisition, especially last quarter. Revenue near $1 billion. Okay, let me check that out. Because I had Mailpack for a dividend stock when I first had the company on my radar, but yeah, they're definitely not a dividend stock. I'm not sure they'd be a growth stock right now, but I mean, revenues have grown 900 million from the previous year. That's good. But with expenses almost doubling, that's certainly troubling. I'm assuming some of these are one-off costs that might not be something recurring. I'd have to look into that part. Finance costs have almost doubled. So I have to look at that as well. And so wait, Rashane, how you said okay, you're talking the 14 million growth here. So the year ended 2024, 3 months 2024. Okay. I think I understand now, because this is their Q1. No, this is year ended. I thought it was Q1 report. Unaudited financial for first quarter. So is it the end of year or is it the full year? Because it says year ended. Maybe I'm not reading the right thing. So are you surprised by the falling in price for Mailpack? Is that what you're saying? Let me know. All right, everyone. So I've said everything that I need to say here. I do think that TransJamaica is going to announce a higher dividend come next week. If you're a part of our community and you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I did talk to NCB about having a Q&A, but I needed to follow up and I didn't. So sorry about that. We're not able to have that Q&A again. And if you need any help with anything and you're part of our challenge community, you have full access to me, of course. As you know, you can feel free to reach out. And I will likely be doing a video once the offer closes and we know the state of like the allotment and stuff like that, right? So you can look out for videos like that. But I have a couple of videos to do. I'm looking at Spur Tree, which is down 65% from your all-time high. I'm looking at the fact that there is this other company. I haven't spoke about the next IPO that I think is coming out. That maybe I'll wait to do that video. Yeah, you guys don't need to worry about another IPO right now. Just focus on the one in front of you, and we'll talk about that. Which second company, sir? What did you say? Oh, Cygnus. Sorry, not right now. I gotta go. So TransJamaica closes on Tuesday. That's the 18th of March. All right. All right, everyone. Have a good weekend. Please take a moment to like the video. Again, tickets for our conference is available. I really do hope to see you there. So there's a 20% discount for LGI community. If you're watching this video, you're considered a part of our community. You can get a 20% discount on tickets. These prices are for both days. All right, so it's not $300 per day for the general in-person. It's one. It's $300 for both days, and you get 20% off that with the code LGI20 until the end of this month. And remember to submit your pitches, right? So go to the website, submit your pitch, and you have an opportunity to showcase your business, get funding, get mentorship, get support, and check out our speaker lineup and everything else. And I hope to see you there for the conference. I'll leave it there for now. All right, everyone. See you in the next video.
Learning is the key to successful investing. And who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N. Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at Learn, Grow, Invest.